Hi, welcome to ABC Solutions, and today I'll talk about how to prepare for postdoctoral interview. Usually, if we go to any interview, we get nervous because there are a lot of uncertainties associated with it. We do not know what sort of questions that we can encounter, and because of this reason, I feel like we should have a guide or something for this interview process. So I have been through many postdoctoral interviews, at least five or six, and also I've chatted with different people and also combined their experiences and prepared this presentation, which can be as a guide or a roadmap for your preparation. So let's begin. So in this presentation, I'll talk about how to prepare your research talk and what are the possible questions that you can encounter. And since I'm talking about postdoctoral and PhD stuffs, so I'll recommend you to kindly visit this video on how to prepare or write a cover letter for postdoctoral applications and give your comments, share this video, subscribe this channel such that such content can reach to many people. Now I'll dive into the postdoctoral interview. In my view, this postdoctoral interview can be split into three parts. Like in the first part or at the beginning, you introduce yourself and talk about your research. Then there will be some questions from the interviewer beyond your research talk. Those are mostly on your skills, on your management, on your vision or plan as a researcher. And at the end, the interviewer will basically ask you to ask him or her or them about your queries. So I'll go through each of these three parts and try to give you as much as information I can. So first, you introduce yourself, who you are, where you are working, like where you are doing your PhD or from where you have done your PhD, and then you give your research talk. So before the sorry, when the interviewer will arrange this interview process, he or she will let you know what is the time length of your research talk. Usually, I again categorize them into two parts. So, usually, it can be a 25 to 30-minute talk. So, in that case, how you should prepare. So, this is just a list. So, in my view, or in my opinion, first you should introduce the basic concepts related to your research as well as give a uh, bigger picture on what sort of problem you are going to address in your PhD. Then you get into your individual projects, discuss the techniques and the results, and arrange those different PhD projects in a very connected manner or a very coherent manner, such that when you talk about different projects, it should sound like a story. And why it is important? Because if you can build up a story like that, then the interviewer will also feel okay, you are a good communicator. You have five different things, but you are able to compile them under a single umbrella. So that is very important. Then you must highlight those results which are very relevant to that interviewer or that professor's group where you are basically or you have applied. And at the end, you show your publications. So this 25 to 30 minutes talk is relatively easy to handle. The tricky part is if it is a 10 to 15 minutes talk. In that case, you should restrict yourself with something like between 6 to 8 slides. You don't need to give a very nice introduction to the basic concepts. Sorry, nice is not the perfect word here. So you don't need to give a introduction to different concepts which are related to your research. I would say like you just give a broader picture of your research, like what is the bigger goal or what is the bigger problem that you want to address through your PhD research. So this should be the first part of your presentation. Then you get into your different results of your different projects, and again arrange them in a very connected manner such that they sound like a story. And without losing the impact of your result, you need to talk about them in a very compact way. Suppose if you have 5 results from 5 different projects, I will dedicate one slide to that individual result, such that I have 5 slides from my research results, and I'll dedicate one slide to the introduction and one slide to the summary. So that's how I can make a 7 slide presentation. And at the end, I'll show my publication list. And if you find if any one of your work is under review and if it is an archive, please do mention. So that will be basically your research talk. Then after the talk, the interviewer or whoever in the panel, they will ask you questions based on your research result and details of your research. So this is the first segment of your interview. Then the sort of real interview will start, where the interviewer or the professor would like to understand how you approach different things as a researcher. So what I mean, like so far you have presented your results, so that shows your achievements or your success in terms of results as a researcher. Now they want to understand how you achieved that success or how you achieved that result. What is your approach? How you deal with different difficult situations in your journey? What are your skills, etc. So for that, they may ask you some questions, or they may start some discussion. So there may be different ways. And in that case, I have sort of divided this particular segment into 3 parts. So like there may be like 3 segments you can think about, in which about which they want to understand you. So first thing is the research plan or research vision. So under that, you can think of like what sort of questions or what sort of stuffs they want to know from you. So first thing they want to know from you is like why you want to join their group, or like why you want to join that particular postdoctoral position. Then what sort of problem you want to work in their group. So to address these questions, you should have a good plan, or you should also do a good research on their ongoing projects, also about what are the sort of stuffs going on their particular department, on that particular research area, such that you can frame a good answer for that. Then if you are changing your research area, suppose you apply to a position and the sort of research projects around that positions are quite different from your PhD projects, then why you want to do that transition and how you will adapt that transition. So I have people ask me that question, and the way I addressed it, like I am very excited about your research and quite interested to learn these new skills. And I believe if I learn those new skills and combine with my PhD expertise, then I can even explore some other interesting research problems. So this is what my view on this particular thing. Then they may also ask you, if you join our group, what will bring to the table as a researcher. Then they may want to know like what is your plan as a researcher. You want to stay in academia, you want to go to industries. They may ask you like, where do you see yourself after 3 years or 5 years, something like that. They may also want to know like about your PhD journey, how you evolve as a researcher in that journey. This is very important question, like the sort of projects or the problems that you have worked on your PhD, how many of them is directly given to you from your supervisor, and how many of them you came up by yourself. Like it is sort of to get an idea like how many projects that you've worked in your PhD, those came from your side. Those are basically your idea, and how many of them came from the supervisor side. So to get an idea about like the independent research thing. So these are the sort of points that you may encounter in your interview related to this research plan or vision sort of thing. Then they may also want to know about your research skills or your skills as a researcher. So in that, they may want to know what are your technical skills. So by technical skills, I mean if you're an experimentalist, then what are your experimental skills? What sort of devices you have handled? What sort of experiments you have done? And what are the skills that you have gathered? Your theoretical skills, your simulation skills, your I will add also your writing skills, so etc. They may then, since you are planning to join as a postdoc, and postdoc requires, or like from postdoc, people expect some leadership qualities. So for that, they may also want to know about your mentoring skills. So, did you supervise any projects? Did you supervise any bachelor or master students? This sort of things. Then they may also want to know, like, what do you think about yourself? What are your strength and weakness as a researcher? Then, are you good in teamwork or not? And this question is very relevant if you are an experimentalist or if you are going to join a big group. So basically, they want to see like whether you fit into in a collaborative environment or not. Then I never encountered this question, but I heard few people encountered it. Like, why are you interested? Why are you suitable for this particular job? Then they may also want to know, like, what is the toughest or the most complicated experiment that you have handled in your PhD? And from that, they basically want to know what sort of skills that you have learned or developed. So, and at the end, they may also want to know, like, if you have involved in any sort of outreach activity, because sometimes in postdocs, you may need to do such things. So these are the points that you may encounter from your skills regarding your skill part. Then they may also understand your perspectives on different things related to research, like what is your dream project? If there is no limitation on funding, what sort of problem you are going to solve? This is a very common question. And if you are not anticipating it, it is very difficult to frame it at that particular point. So somebody actually asked me this question and I was not anticipating it and I sort of fumbled it a bit. Then, according to you, what is good research? What are your favorite papers? And follow up to this, they may also ask you, like, why you consider this particular articles or whatever you have said your favorite paper, why you consider them as a good research? Such that to get you an understanding, like what sort of in what sort of research you are more interested in. Are you inclined more towards sort of application type of research, or you are more inclined towards more fundamental sort of research? Like, just to understand your view or your perspective as a researcher. Then they may also ask you, you have worked on 6 or 5 different PhD projects. Which is your favorite PhD project and why? Also, they may also want to know, like, if you are like, you have done your PhD, and during that process or journey, you must have been through tough times. So, what are those tough times? Can you mention one of them and how you overcame that? Then they may also want to know, like, during your different PhD projects, have you worked with any outside collaborator, and what are their roles, as well as in your different PhD projects, what are the exact roles that you have played, uh, etc. So here then basically I gathered the questions or the topics that I experienced during my interviews, or like whatever I've learned from different people. So I hope all these points give you a broader picture about the postdoc interview questions that you may encounter. I'm not saying that the interviewer will ask only these questions, but I can definitely guarantee you, if you sort of do this exercise, go through each and every points, then you can come up with a basically mindset with which you can address most of this interviewer's question. Then the final part. Okay, before that, I'd just like to mention again what are the main takeaway message from this particular slide, and what are the main things they would like to the interviewer wants to understand about you. One thing is the management skill, how you manage different people, and how you manage your time, and etc., like how you manage, because research is a very complicated process, so they just want to know how good you are as a manager, or how good your management skill is. Then they want to also understand your leadership skills, like can you lead different projects, because can you guide or supervise different like beginner PhD students or master students, and what are your research visions or plans. So these are the main points, I guess, the interviewer wants to understand from your side, from all these questions or discussions. And now finally, when your turn will come, what are the questions you should ask? At least if I am at your place, what are the questions I'll ask? So I'll definitely ask about a bit about the postdoctoral positions, because sometimes it is not clear from the uh, advertisement. So I would like to know about the joining date, like when they are expecting me to join that particular position. What is the tenure of the position? What are the benefits, research benefits, and other benefits associated with that particular postdoctoral positions, etc. Then, most important point, the research projects. What are the research projects going on their lab? What are the research projects that will be involved around that particular postdoctoral job? And are those projects, what sort of projects there? Are they long-term projects or short-term projects? And what sort of role they expect you to play on those research projects, as well as any other expectation that they have from you about uh, publications and etc. Please clarify those, because uh, once you get a very clear idea about these points, you can very easily make your decision. Then I never ask these questions, but people typically, sometimes people ask this particular questions, like you can frame it in your own way, and if you want to ask like you and if you want to really get some more clarity, then you can ask very politely, like if I join your group, what are the advantages that I can get as a researcher, or in terms of research facilities, etc. And then finally, usually the professor or the interviewer will give you some idea about the place. By place, I mean like in which city, if you join that position, in which city you will go, and how the social and the other stuffs related to that city or that town. Specifically, suppose if you are going from India to any European or US city or town, then things are quite different from our Indian city or towns. So they will try to give you some introduction to that also in that entire interview process. If they do not, you can also ask a few things, about that, such that you also get some idea about that particular place. So these are the points I would like to cover if my turn comes come. Then yeah, and I hope through this video I am able to give you a broader picture on how to prepare for your postdoctoral interview. So first I covered that your research talk part, how to prepare for your research talk, then what sort of other questions that you can anticipate from your interviewer, and when your turn will come, what sort of things you should know from the interviewer. So again, thank you for your attention, and please share and subscribe this channel and share this video and give your feedback on the comment section to know what you think about this content. And again, thank you.